Hello, good afternoon everybody. Thank you for coming to join me. I wanted to share with you the journal that I've just completed. You'll have seen the previous one that I did, or maybe you will have seen the previous one I did, using Rachel Roxy Creations English Country Garden. And then I did, that was a pink and green one, and then I did a video on how I put the fabrics together, which I think is the last video. Since that video I've had a few people ask me what you do once you've sewn this one. I don't know if you can see if I hold it up. This one I've done slow stitching. So when you're stitching it, you only need to stitch these squares, each square, and that stabilises it really well. As long as you stitch along the raw edge, it will hold it in place. It's not going to fray once these are stitched in place. They honestly, they don't go very far. And then the other thing that I've had people ask me is how you make it into a cover once you've stitched it. And really all that you do is treat it, once you've done your sewing and you've decorated it how you want to, you just treat it as if it's a piece of fabric. So you'd make your cover the same way that you would with using a piece of fabric. I like to make these quite flexible. So what I use, I'm in the UK, so what I use is this product. It's called Pelmet Facing here in the UK. You can see it's quite sturdy. It's like a really heavyweight interfacing. And the one that I get is, you won't be able to see it, but it's iron on one side. So I put the iron on the wrong side of my fabric and cut it to the size I want, iron it to the wrong side of the fabric, and then I fold it over and glue it down the way that you would making a journal, and then line it with a fabric, and then I stitch all the way around it. And you can see, you may be able to see, I've zigzagged round this one. Or if your preference is to have a raw edge, you know, rough frayed edge look, then you can just cut it to the size that you want, and just zigzag round so that your ends don't fray beyond. So lots of videos out there. Unfortunately, I don't have the right setup to sit and sew and show you, so hopefully that kind of explains it. Any questions, please do ask me. I'm happy to answer. This journal was actually reserved after the last one, so it's going to be making its way to its new home shortly. This one I've decorated. These flowers here are from Laura's shop, Laura Bame's shop, The Papered Soul, and she's hand crocheted these, and I've put them on a flower stem because that's my English country garden. And I've put the word journal, and that card just slides out. So if the person that's having this doesn't want it to say journal, they can take that out and slide something else in. And then there's just a quarter of a doily there that I've had a long time, and I've just stitched that on. It's not a pocket, it's actually hand stitched down and then zigzagged round. So on the inside it's very similar to the other one that I made, but this one is English Country Garden green. The other one was quite pink, if you remember. So on the inside, on this one, I've put green fabrics, and this pocket is actually quite firm as well. And again, I've used the Pelmet stabiliser for it. So it's got a little bit of gold in there, and that's the pocket. And then I've used one of Rachel's papers here from the Country Garden and made it into a little folder. So there's a pocket just there, and then there's one just there as well. So these are different papers from Rachel and her tags and things as well. And then this one on the front pocket, I think this is from Rachel's green papers. So I've put some lace down there and I've left it as a little pocket. And then this is a little tag dangle that I was gifted from Carol Rigby. So that goes on there. I just thought it looked really nice. And then I've used one of the journal cards there that I've made. So turning over, this one again has the three pockets. And this one, I don't know if you can see the French knots again, and then it's the little rabbits. I think that was from Rachel's Easter kit. So I've hand stitched the French knots and a little bit of snippet lace across the bottom there. So there's a little flip there with some extra papers in, and that's from a Ladybird book. And then these postcards from Rachel, and I've just layered them up to make them into a three-tier 3-tier pocket. Can't get my words out this afternoon. Again, Rachel's papers and a bird that I had sitting on that tag. And some butterflies on that postcard. And then this is one of Mrs. Cogs' English Floral Fantasy. I think it's English Floral Fantasy garden from her kit that I've just put onto Rachel's papers there. Then again, Rachel's papers, aren't they beautiful? Hopefully you can see okay. Then again, I've put the, I've used my, leaf trim. I've used it up now, all gone. So I've put that up there. Oh, and the seam binding, sorry, that's from Laura as well. It just went really nicely. It's the same green, isn't it? Vintage book page. And again, there's the last of the pages that I had from the garden poem book. And again, there's a little blackbird there and one of Tracy's labels at the top. And then that just opens up with a poem there about the blackbird. So that just flips out. Then this yellow lady is from Mrs. Cogs' Yellow in the Garden. Isn't she beautiful? And then that fits in there. And that says, life begins the day you start a garden. And that says, I never promised you a rose garden. And I know it's not a rose, but it just went nicely with the papers. And then again, the flip out there. That folds out. This one is different to the other one. The other one didn't have this in, but it's just a little, it opens up. It's got some extra papers inside there that you can write on. I'll tie that later. I can never tie them properly online on camera. And then there's a lovely tag there. And again, these are Laura's papered sole. They're her fibres as well from the lot that she sent me. Little postcard there. I think that's one of Artie Maze's. Another one of Rachel's tags just there. And as I say, this one is green. Oops. And there's a tuck spot there. And I've just put some vintage French dictionary page on there and a little fabric bit just there. Oh, that was it. The kit from Mrs. Cogs is called A Floral Fantasy in an Old English Garden. It says it on that label. So glassine bag there. And again, that's from Laura. Just layered that up. Vintage book page, and then I've done again a paper flip just here, so that flips up, so you can still, if you wanted to put something there, you could. And then it's just got some papers that you can write on there. And then again, another tag. Isn't that little bird so cute on there? I think that's just a bird that I can't remember if that's one of Rachel's or one that I fussy cut. There's some extra journaling space there. So all these papers are from Rachel. Some stenciling there. And again, a napkin there with some bees. Bit of a vintage country garden, that one. And the birds here. I think this is from Rachel's green kit as well. And then a couple of her nature tags. And then a little bit of the napkin that was left over. What was it left over from? Was it the glassine bag? I know I had it left over from something. No, not that. Oh, I think we come to it in a bit. So a little bit of napkin that I had left, and that's Laura's as well. And another one of Tracy's labels there. And again, a little snip just there. And an envelope there, window envelope. Through to the birds. Then I love the way that this one came together with the little girl. I think that's Mrs. Cogs' Pink in the Garden. But I think that bird has got an eye on that little girl just to make sure that she doesn't see him. I love the way those papers came together. And the little green bird. A book page there and the robin. A stencil there. Some little bees, aren't the bees or little bugs? In the centre there, and then on the centre there's just a couple of buttons. Another of the fabric flips just there. And that says, the love of garden is a seed once sown that never dies. And there's a lady there walking in her garden. And this is the back of the envelope. So again, there's some extra journaling space there. Those beautiful birds from Rachel and her purple papers, I think. And then again, I've done the crocheted trim down the edge, and that it's white, like a white cotton, but it's got a little bit of shine into it. And then a couple of the buttons are on there. And then the little bird just there. And that says, if you have a garden, you have, and if you have a garden and a library, you have everything that you need. This is the paper clip. It's got a tag on the back, so if I take that off, you can see it's fabric on a paper clip that's made it into a dangle, and that just goes on the page just there. And then on the back there's another journaling card just there, just clips in there. Again, Rachel's, I think they're from her nature walk, nature kit. There's some fabrics here, so there's some little dandelions on that one, some green, and then some little rose fabrics. I love these papers from Rachel. They've got so many colours in, it really doesn't matter what you add to it. It's just a joyful, colourful, makes a lovely colourful journal. Again, the back of that napkin paper. And then that just flips out for some extra journaling space. A lovely owl there, so you can see the rest of the paper there. Again, another glassine bag there. And that says, if you love nature, you'll find beauty everywhere. And this is the napkin that I put onto Rachel's papers. So little bits of decoupage napkin on there. And another of the pages from the Ladybird book, The Little Squirrel. Sorry, my arm reaching. And again, it's on the back as well. More book pages. Then again, I've done the Secret Garden page there. So this time it goes through. Wouldn't it be wonderful to have a garden like that? And then that just closes. And then behind it, it's just a journaling card there from Rachel's lovely papers. Just tucks in a bit at the back there. And the birds. I think they're looking at that dragonfly there, thinking of dinner. So it is slightly different from the other journal. I don't think I've ever made two journals the same. It's got similar elements, not elephants, similar elements in this one. Another one of Rachel's cards there as a pocket, and then that lovely image there is from Mrs. Cogs' Pink in the Garden, and then I've put it on Rachel's papers, and again with Laura's fibres there. And then on the back page it's an envelope, so I've put a card, tag card there, and that's got some extra journaling space on. There's a little butterfly on it, and then it opens out. I haven't put anything on here because I thought it's a nice place either to write or to stick something, so I've left it as is. And then hopefully you can still see one of the Tim Holtz folders there, and I've not backed any of these. They can be journaled on and just put into that little pocket there. And again, I've not labelled it because I thought the lady that's having it might want to. And then inside there is another little journaling card. It just fits in there. And then again, on the back, it's got the lace bit there. If you don't want to use that as a pocket, you don't have to. You can leave it as is. And then again, just a few pages there from an Observer book. That's just got some extra pages in. The pages on these Observer books are a little bit tattered because it is an old book, but there's just some extra journaling spaces there for you to use. So that's my green country garden using Rachel's kit and a few of Mrs. Cogs' pink and yellow in the garden. I'm really pleased how this one turned out, and I'm really pleased that some of you are actually giving this technique a go. As I said before, I think it's called spirit cloth. Have a look on Pinterest and you can see lots of things that have been made with it. But that's my journal. Thank you so much for coming to look. And again, any questions, please just ask. Thank you so much for stopping by. Bye bye.